You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. I am Daniel.
I am Clint. 3 windows back. We got John Tweet Sports back with us, the dog dispatch man himself. John, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing fantastic. It is a fine day to be with you, gentlemen.
We will take the gentleman. No one else believes that but you, so I appreciate you for calling us that.
I'll keep trying to make believers.
Good.
I don't know how much more I can do, guys.
Listen, I think we would all agree you've done enough, John. You've gone above and beyond.
Call of Duty is yours. If you don't know John, his Twitter handle is John Tweet Sports. He does, in fact, tweet sports, as well as the dogdispatch.com. He gives out a mailer. Just got mine, was reading it, pre-production, chock full of insights. Go over there, check it out. We'll let John talk a little bit more. But first, we'll let you know that we are fans. John's a fan. Daniel's a fan. I'm a fan of UGA, which makes this podcast all the better because the mockery is welcomed. The seriousness took a hiatus long ago. We don't take each other too seriously, nor ourselves. We like to be fans first and foremost and talk about the dogs like fans do, like you would at a tailgate or with your friends. So join us in that fun on this podcast, Daniel.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. For fans, by fans. It's why we started the pod. It's why we still do it. So while John will provide you with insightful commentary on the Georgia Bulldogs, he's doing so from a fan's perspective, and that's really all we care about. John hates Tennessee more than he hates anything else in this world, and so
John,
that's really the energy.
Okay. Do you, in fact, have telephone bills?
Do I have telephone bills? Yes, I have telephone bills. Yeah.
Great. Have you ever been with a woman that was a half bear, a half cat?
No comment.
These feel like the questions got way more personal really quickly.
Would you ever say that if you had been with a bear/cat woman, that she was wild as a mink, but maybe sweet as soda pop?
Oh my gosh. I think this is the worst line of questioning I've ever felt.
Well, you would answer no to all of these, and that means you are not a absolute moonshine hillbilly in the Tennessee mountains, luring people away so to kill them and not have them be able to call anybody because there's no phone bills and have relations with bear cats.
I think what Clint's trying to get at, if you have already turned off the podcast, T's and P's to you. These are the actual words to the Tennessee fight song. Clint is reading the words to the actual Tennessee fight song. It's one of the greatest. It's one of the greatest moments in Locked On podcast history, Locked On Bulldogs podcast history, when we just read verbatim the Tennessee fight song on the air. Listen, if you need to know how this podcast feels about Tennessee and you're watching on YouTube, you can find it right there. That's it. That's the message that we're trying to send, Clint. There's 41 reasons to hate Tennessee, and there are 0 reasons to hate the University of Georgia, and those are the only numbers that really matter in the grand scheme of things.
100%.
Listen, we're going to talk like fans do on this podcast. Thanks for subscribing. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. You guys have been great over the last few days. Keep that energy up. As we said, 1,000 subscribers by the SEC championship game. We're going to do something for the people. Feels like we should do something for the people, Clint, if we reach this goal. I'm not sure what it is. We'll come up with something. We'll put something in the dog dispatch as like a reward for the people.
Hey, dog dispatch will pony up on a giveaway.
Yeah, we'll do a little giveaway. We'll do some sort of a giveaway.
We'll do a collaborative giveaway when we hit 1,000 subscribers.
You love to see it. 1,000 subscribers by the SEC championship game. So if you're not already subscribed, do that on the YouTube channel. When we hit 1,000 subscribers, the Locked On Bulldogs podcast and the Dog Dispatch, we will do a little collaborative giveaway. I've heard that one of the 3 people on this YouTube right now possess too much bourbon. That's what I've been told. and they ain't on the top row. I'll tell you that right now. They are not. They are not on the top row. So you can't hide money, Clint. You just can't. You can't hide it. It just shows up.
The whiskey is piling up, gentlemen, and somebody's got to take it.
We are off the rails. Long since off the rails. John, were you at the hallowed grounds on Saturday? Were you, in fact, between the hedges for the big nooner against Missouri?
I wish I was. I did not make it out this Saturday. My daughter turned 10 years old, so shout out to Finley.
Happy birthday, Finley.
And I was sick on Saturday. We were having a birthday party on Sunday, and if I did not recover by the birthday party, I would have been in big trouble. But I did stay glued to my television, watching every second. I watched the replay of the game, aka recorded the game and watched it over
immediately.
Probably more than once, I'll be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And so I felt like I was at the game minus the tailgate. Shout out to the Dog Pack tailgate. Sorry I missed you guys.
Can we start with this? Clint and I talked a bunch yesterday. I don't know if you heard the pod yesterday, but we talked a bunch about the receiving core.
Wait. Did I hear the pod? I listened. Come on. I listen religiously to the pod.
I assume you only listen to the episodes that you're on, John, to be honest with you. That's what I assume.
That's because you assume that because that's what you would do.
I only listen to the episodes I'm on. I'll be honest with you. I don't. We talked a lot yesterday about the receivers. Thought this was a coming out party for the receiving core. Don't need to belabor that point. These guys are very good. There are many of them, and they're all very good. Quarterbacks, I thought both played well. I think we have two good quarterbacks. I think we would all agree on that point. Can we actually start in our look back on Saturday? And then I'll open it up for you to talk about maybe in the second segment anything you want from last week that stood out to you. But can we start by talking about Mark Richt? Because we did not talk about this on the pod yesterday. We were too excited to talk about some of the offensive playmakers. But, I mean, somebody just cutting up all the onions in my house on Saturday. I do not know who was making onion stew, but I'm telling you, there were just onions everywhere in this house. Who is this Mark Richt, and why is he the greatest person to ever live, John?
Guys, okay, it is hard for me to describe my respect and admiration for Mark Richt. If you were a Georgia fan in the 90s, so my influential years, my teenage years playing sports and being a diehard Georgia fan were in the 90s, and that was not a fun time as a
lean
fan.
Times.
Every year, the Georgia Bulldogs managed to get beat by some combination of Tennessee, Florida, Auburn, and Georgia Tech. So those three of those four teams were going to beat you every year. Every year. There was no question. It was just a matter of like, is Georgia Tech going to beat you this year, or is Auburn going to beat you this year, basically? Because Tennessee and Florida will probably beat you every year.
Meanwhile, John, Hines Ward and Champ Bailey were running out the tunnel, and we're still losing all those games. We're still losing all those games.
I think, you know what? Like, I think that's a fair point for people who weren't around to see Garrison Hurst, who should have won the Heisman Trophy, Eric Zier, who was setting records, Hines Ward, Champ Bailey. Georgia had players like this. You know, people act like, you know, maybe we didn't have the players, but we had players. What Mark Richt did for Georgia coming out of the period of the 90s was he made Georgia a team that not only could compete with the upper echelon of college football, but could beat them and could win actual games that mattered and win championships. I mean, I remember in 2002, I mean, I personally never thought it was possible for Georgia to win the SEC championship. I didn't even really think it was possible for them to win the East back then, right? I mean, you got to remember, like, Florida, Tennessee were winning national championships and just blowing the Dogs out. And Mark Richt comes in, 2001 beats Tennessee, 2002 wins the SEC East, blows out Arkansas, and then goes and beats Florida State, who was dominating at the time. and set Georgia on a whole other trajectory of college football. I mean, I think Georgia has Kirby Smart because of Mark Richt, and I think people need to recognize that.
Well said.
Because if Mark Richt didn't build what he built at Georgia, then there would be no place, for Kirby Smart to do what he's doing today. And I think ultimate respect for Mark Richt. The second thing is if you listen to players talk about their reverence for Mark Richt, him as a mentor, him as a leader, how they're a better man because of Mark Richt. I mean, it was just unreal. I'm glad he got his day. A lot of these days that happen on Saturday happen way too late or don't happen at all. And for Mark Richt to be, just a few years removed from coaching Georgia and to get that recognition on Saturday was fantastic.
Listen, as much as you said about what he did for the program, universally known to be a better human being than he is a football coach. Build a freaking statue, rename a wing of the facility. Like let's just freaking do the right thing here, Georgia.
I made the mistake one time of commenting that when the coaching search happened, Mark Richt is gone doing the coaching search, and I made the mistake of saying I'm so thrilled Kirby Smart couldn't be happier to move on from Mark Richt. And Daniel's wife, I've never seen a woman about to kill a man, but I saw it in her eyes. She almost killed me right then and there where I stood. Yeah. Because he was such not only a good coach, he was, but the person he was universally known to everybody.
You guys, I'm sure most of the folks listening to the podcast have read the story of Mark Richt and Trey Battle. I'm sure you have, but if you have not, go Google Mark Richt and Trey Battle and read that story of where Trey Battle, a former player, was on a bridge in Athens and was going to literally going to jump off of a bridge and kill himself. And the person that he thought to call was not a family member, was not a close friend, was Mark Richt. And Mark Richt answered the phone and got to a place where he could get Trey off the bridge to Mark Richt's house, surrounded him with former players and friends. And Trey Battle says Mark Richt literally saved his life. And I don't know, guys. I played a lot of sports and had a lot of coaches that were influential in my life. God forbid if I ever got to that place, I don't know that my football coach would be the guy that I'd be calling, right? I mean, if I'm in that position, but Mark Richt was the guy that Trey Battle called, and I think that's why you have our wives and everyone else revering the guy, and separate from whatever football results or outcome. He laid the foundation of this program, and he set a standard that I think is going to be very difficult to.
So, if you're listening to this pod and you're not at work, just go ahead and raise a glass to Mark Richt. Mark Richt, this is for you. Cheers to you. Hey, we're going to come back after this, talk a little bit of Tennessee, Mizzou, but first we'll let you about PrizePicks. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy for college football. PrizePicks.com, award-winning app over at the iOS Store or Google Play. You can do mixed entry. You can do any prop you can think of. And by the way, we can think of a lot of prop bets, especially with Tennessee coming in. Go ahead, take some under bets on score, how they score. You make the number against the projections and you win. It's that easy. PrizePicks.com is daily fantasy made easy. Head over there right now. Put in Locked On the promo code. Get up to 100%, up to $100 matching deposit. You put $100 in, you put Locked On in, you get $100 on top of that over at PrizePicks.com or the iOS Store or Google Play.
All right, John, maybe let's quickly, other thoughts from Georgia-Missouri game, things that stood out to you, or even just general thoughts around the landscape of college football from last weekend before we turn our attention to the world's largest mustard container in Knoxville, Tennessee.
You guys did a great job of talking about Mizzou yesterday on the podcast. I would just add, Stetson Bennett made some poor decisions. We all saw that, but the wide receivers that y'all well documented yesterday, I couldn't be happier to have this group getting healthy at this time, having Jermaine Burton back out there that y'all talked about a lot yesterday. So that really stood out to me. I'll also say, I mean, you look at the landscape of college football, you had Ohio State losing a close game or winning a close game with Nebraska, 3-5 or 3-6. Nebraska.
Scott Frost just had his contract restructured so he could stay instead of being fired, and that's who they almost lost to.
Almost. I mean, that was a Nebraska missed a field goal to cut it to a 3-point game, basically in the fourth quarter. Cincinnati struggling again, having to have 2 goal line stands against
fumbled on the goal line. Fumbled on the goal line at the end of the game.
Yes.
To potentially score a 2-point conversion and tie the game.
Yes, absolutely. And you look at Michigan State, falling into Purdue. I mean, good Lord, like who is Purdue? Purdue, if you're a top 10 Big Ten team going into Purdue, you better buckle up because they're beating a lot of them.
How about this, John? Give me a Tuesday lock. Give me a Tuesday lock. It's Purdue plus 20 at Ohio State this weekend. That's the line. Purdue plus 20. Are you willing to put your money down that they can do it again?
I will just say this. I would not bet against Purdue against a top 10 Big Ten team.
Boil up, man.
They show up. So you just look, you have to feel good. My only, I'll say about the weekend is you just have to feel good as a Georgia fan of where your team is. You have to feel good that, like, you look across the landscape at Alabama's offense sputtering. Like who can you look at in that top 10 and say this team is actually going to give it to Georgia? And after 9 weeks, I don't know, guys. You got to feel good about where you are as a Georgia fan. That's my observation.
All right, well, let's then turn our attention to a team that thinks they are going to give it to Georgia on Saturday, John. And that is the Tennessee Volunteers.
When we say it, are we talking about the mustard? Because I think Tennessee
it is the golf balls, the mustard.
They're trying to give us the mustard.
Listen,
when we go to Neyland Stadium.
Kirby has been very clear that this is going to be a hostile environment, and everyone's acting like he's complimenting the Tennessee fan base. He's literally saying we are going to be afraid for our physical well-being because when we go in there, they are going to be throwing things at us. Projectile weapons are going to be used. It's a fan base that is as deplorable and disgusting as any in college football. But let's talk about the players on the field. Hendon Hooker, Josh Heupel, and the Tennessee offense. John, what gives you the most trepidation going into Saturday?
Well, I think for me, trepidation is maybe not the right word because I still, frankly, I don't have much trepidation going up to Knoxville.
Okay.
I don't. What I will say, if there are things that worry me, I do think of all the teams Georgia has played so far, Tennessee has figured out their tempo and has figured out their ability to do what they do. They have been getting better week over week. Now you look at, they played Alabama. Alabama figured out, made a Nick Saban second half adjustment that we all know all too well, and figured some things out. But Tennessee, that tempo gives me some trepidation. I don't think Georgia has seen yet a team that's going to go as fast as Tennessee. I also think, Hendon Hooker, I will say this, with all due respect to Anthony Richardson and Emory Jones.
I'm sorry, he didn't mean that. He didn't mean
how
that.
much respect is due?
How
much?
Well, Anthony Richardson was cleared to play and then hurt himself dancing in the hotel room on Friday.
You realize he hurt himself dancing, and then as defense, he published a video of the dance move he was trying to do, like to garner respect from people.
Yes. So all due respect, which is not a lot of respect due.
Not a lot.
I will say, Tennessee, the thing that you have to look at with them is that they are going to throw a lot at this Georgia defense that we have not seen this year. A quarterback that can actually move, a tempo that will be fast. And I think if you look at missing players like Adam Anderson is a good example in this game. That gives you a little bit of pause, right? I mean, Adam Anderson does a lot for Georgia from his versatility standpoint, not only rushing the passer, but dropping back in coverage, being able to play some spy in the quarterback type thing. And without a player like that, you have to be a little bit worried about going up to Knoxville.
Yep, I think so. I think that, like I said, the tempo is going to be really interesting. I think we're going to get in the third segment kind of what you anticipate. I got some questions about Jordan Davis on this defense. It's known that when he's on the field, we have a better defense, but how much is he going to play with that tempo going? We know on third down he comes out a lot. So how's that going to play in?
Yep.
I think trepidation. I'm paused more than I have been in any other game this year, but not much. We're gonna be coming back talking a little bit more about it. But first, Dan's going to let you know about BetOnline.
Yeah, BetOnline.ag. They are your online sportsbook experts. You already know by now they're the place that Clint and I go to place every lock on every game. And so if you're looking to get in on that Purdue money line on the road at Ohio State on Saturday, BetOnline.ag is the place to go. Bet on every sport, the NFL, NHL, NBA. College basketball starts up tonight. It's Tuesday. College basketball starts tonight. Georgia Bulldogs play tonight in the Steg. And so if you're in Athens, you should go to that. And then that Champions Classic, whatever that thing is, you can bet on that. Take a little Kansas, Kentucky money line parlay. That's my pick tonight. Kansas, Kentucky money line parlay. I think it's like plus 200. Both teams to win outright tonight. That's my pick. BetOnline.ag, your online sportsbook experts. Enter the promo code LOCKEDON, and you get a 50% welcome bonus on your initial deposit. That is 50% free money with which to bet at BetOnline.ag, your online sportsbook experts. Clint, you said you had some questions for John regarding Saturday.
So, yeah, Adam Anderson out so far. We don't know any news, but we're just projecting out. I think that's a safe bet. Jordan Davis comes out on third down. We got Trayvon Walker. We got Nolan Smith. We have Devontae Wyatt, that defensive line. Do we see a thinned out defensive line? And the rotation is not going to be there because we're not going to have a chance to get them in with the pace going unless penalties or unless sacks happen, unless we stop that. What do you think that does to the defense that we've seen accustomed to a rotation so far this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna stress the defense in ways that we haven't been stressed before. And what I mean by that is, I think anytime you have a Georgia practices these rotations religiously and depend on them. I think Jordan Davis is. I haven't seen the latest stat, but I think as of a couple weeks ago, he'd only played like 35% of snaps. And so if you have him in on first and second down, you're trying to get somebody in on third down, you can't. That's gonna stress the defense. And so when I look at that, I think the saving grace for Georgia is this defense is very, very good at getting teams in third down situations and getting off the field. And so if Georgia can get if they can get Tennessee in third down situations, so if you can play those first two downs, knowing that you're not going to be able to rotate and knowing that, you can pressure Tennessee in some way, make Hendon Hooker make some bad decisions and get them in third down, Georgia is most likely to win those third down situations. Where Tennessee thrives is scoring quickly, right? So you look, and I think I hope this is right, and maybe it's wrong, but I was looking at the ESPN box score, and Tennessee ran like 47 plays against Kentucky and scored 45 points. They had the ball 13 minutes.
I mean, the time of possession was unbelievable.
It was truly, truly bonkers. And so when you look at that kind of thing, right, like, you have to hope what's going to save what has saved the Georgia defense this year. I shouldn't say save. What has been their kind of strength has been rotating in defensive linemen who can put pressure on the offensive line, reset the line of scrimmage, and actually stress the opposing quarterback, create lanes for pass rush, etc. What I think this week could be flipped, where you have the secondary that's actually going to be the ones that are going to save the defensive line, right? If they stay locked
100%.
on, if they stay disciplined, play their assignments, that for me is going to be the key to keeping that defensive line from getting fatigued and getting stressed.
Do you know what stops drives and this? I know they can keep chucking it down and time possession is really low, but you know what stops the hurry up, the big play, the explosiveness, catching a defense off guard is incomplete passes.
Yep.
And so if we have, three athletic inside backers and 2 safeties that are par excellence again, just in the SEC. Making incompletion stops offenses like that in a hurry. Other question I had for you: do you think Kirby gets in the ear of Todd Monken and says, "Hey, I don't want to give them the ball that much. We're going to rely on the run. Are we gonna do a little milking action?
Little Matt Luke,
milk the cow."
Yeah, so here's what Georgia fans may not want to hear, but man, I will be totally fine if Georgia goes up to Knoxville and runs the ball 40 times and grinds on this Tennessee defense and puts this game away and keeps Tennessee from, gets us in a place where their tempo and their ability to score quickly doesn't matter. I don't think that's going to happen, because here's what I think. I think Todd Monken and Kirby Smart are going to look to score. They're going to look to score early. I think they're going to look to move the ball. I don't think they're going to be in a position where they're going to come out of the gate of grinding it out. But I wouldn't be mad at them if they are. But you look at it and they have to be watching that film of Kentucky. So I was on this podcast talking about Kentucky a few weeks ago. Kentucky at one point was a top 25 defense after giving up 600 and some to Tennessee. I don't know that they are anymore. But they were at one point. And Kentucky, Kentucky is not a bad defense. They play very sound fundamental football. And they got up there and kept the ball forever for 46 minutes, and they lost the game. And so I think, you look at Kirby Smart and Todd Monken, and Kirby has said this over and over throughout the year. The goal is to score points. The goal is to be explosive. The goal is to score points. And I'll put this little plug in there. Georgia is averaging more points per game than Tennessee.
No, come on.
Absolutely. Georgia's averaging 38.4 points a game to Tennessee's 38.2. So
come on.
So this offense can score and can be explosive, and I think they're going to try to. I won't be mad if we get out to a lead and then sit on the ball. I will be mad if we go up there and from right out of the gate feel like we're trying to just control the clock.
Conservative Kirby.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
An appearance. We'll see. All right. John, thanks as always for being on the show. We mentioned the Dawgs Dispatch, dogsdispatch.com. You're sending out newsletters. You are flooding people's inboxes with information. Tell the people how they can get connected. Tell them what it is and tell them why they should sign up.
Yeah, Dog Dispatch is just my take on Georgia football. It's via email and on the web at dogdispatch.com. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you're going to get a little nugget, a few points of kind of what I see from things. You'll get some nice animated GIFs, some good shots at opponents and at our rivals. We'll make sure that we, get our shots in. And I'm hoping, guys, I don't know about you, but I'm hoping that the Dog Dispatch on Monday of next week is going to be another, topping a 41-0 kind of victory. I would love nothing more than to have 45 or 49 reasons to love Georgia and 0 reasons to love Tennessee after this week.
You love to see it. Dogdispatch.com, folks. Get over there. Sign up. John, you're a gentleman and a scholar. Thank you, as always, for coming back on the pod. And we will come drink all of your whiskey sometime very soon.
Everyone is welcome.
Nope. Daniel and I are welcome. You guys aren't.
The address is in the mail.
Get to 1,000 subscribers and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, 1,000 subscribers. Let's talk about it.
YouTube subscribers, we'll talk about who can come.
1,000 YouTube subscribers. We invite everyone to John's house for whiskey.
My wife will be totally fine. Don't worry.
Totally thrilled. She'll be thrilled.
Amazing. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. We got another special guest on the pod tomorrow. Excited for that. Hope you'll join us on Locked On Bulldogs on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.